Welcome back into Prospect, Produce, Prosper. I am John Jagay, joined as always by Mark Rogers from Producers Prospect. Mark, it's good to be back with you.
Hey, Jag, how we doing?
Good. Excited for today's show. We got a great guest.
I'm really excited, not to mention the fact that you may be two long-lost brothers and like living on the same path lane. You probably know a bunch of each other. So I'm excited to just hear you two geek out on old friends. But today I've got a very special guest. His name is Mark Gaffney. He's the founder at Mark Edward Gaffney. I've worked with Mark for some time now. We've had mutual clients that we've worked on together. Mark's got a distinguished marketing career, 20 plus years in the industry. He's got expertise in not only television and radio, but event marketing, mail. He can do coaching and consulting. It's really hard to find a guy that really gets it in all different markets, and really a guy that gets it with that background that understands financial services, because let's just face it, Jag, and you know this, it's its own beast, right?
Yeah,
it's its own world and has all sorts of regulations in it. What can you say? What can't you say? You know, different people are regulated by different industries, FINRA, SEC. And so I've partnered with Mark because I think he brings such a unique and individual presence in the marketplace. I think he knows how to connect well with advisors and really understand their brand value and what they're doing in the marketplace. And at the end of the day, I love that he'll just tell it direct. He'll just literally grab you and say, nope, this is how you're going to do it. We're going to hold your hand and we're going to make you successful. So with that, Mark, come join the show. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, and you talked about it before. And by the way, John, we're geeking out on Syracuse. That is what's happening today. That's what we were doing right before we got on here, and it's just great.
Right. For our listeners' sake, not to get too far into the weeds here, but Mark is an Oswego grad, lived in Syracuse. I went to Syracuse, so we had a lot in common for upstate New York. But let's get into the crux of the show. And Mark set it up for you, Mr. Gaffney, what you do so well.
Yeah. So listen, I made my bones in Manhattan. 1994, I went to work for a company right on Madison Avenue called R.H. Donnelly. And at that time, they were a Fortune 100 marketing and publishing behemoth. And there are two main tracks that someone can go down to when they decide to get into marketing and advertising. And that is, you can do response or romance. And I'll talk about romance first. And you've probably seen a Louis Vuitton ad. They're ethereal. There's this beautiful woman in this crazy hat. But you notice in there, it doesn't tell you to do anything. It's just about this magnificent brand. Okay, that's one way. That is not the track I went, guys. I went the response route. And the response route is roll up your sleeves and write copy to compel somebody to take action. If that action is pick up a phone, that action is get into a store, that action is go to a website. So that's where I made my bones. And then from there, worked through a multitude of industries and got into the world of financial services in 2002. So I'm 20 years in working with financial service professionals, and then started working with financial advisors exclusively in 2008. I was the chief marketing officer for a large financial advisory firm in Kentucky. And then from there, I decided to head out on my own, develop this company, MEG. And we actually celebrate 10 years this December, Mark.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, and listen, the mantra is great marketers base their decisions on great data. It doesn't matter what I say. It only matters what the data points to. And if you're willing to look at the data and put together data-driven best practices, sky is the limit for your financial advisory firm.
I think that's really interesting because of the financial advisors we work with. They're always telling their clients, the reason I'm here is so that you don't make an emotional decision about your money. I'm here to objectively look at the data. And what you're saying, Mark, is you're doing the exact same thing for the financial advisors you work with.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, John, because I always bust on advisors a little bit for this. And here's the area that I do it. I say, your job as a financial advisor is way more difficult than mine, right? Somebody comes in with their junk drawer of accounts. They've got the cashier, the 401k, the life insurance, the this, the that. And your job as the financial advisor is to create a plan to last them for the rest of their natural born lives so that they have money every month of every year for the rest of their lives, right? My job is simple. I create a plan for you for 1 year, and then I'll ask them point blank, where's your plan? Where's your plan for the next year? So that's the foundational piece. So with all our advisors, we start out by building a skeleton marketing plan based on their goals. So we like to work with a conservative goal and a stretch goal. And I like to say, if we land in the middle there, are you going to cry in your coffee in 12 months? So once we develop that goal, and we usually build the plan to the stretch goal, okay, we just reverse engineer. We have 12 core areas at MEG that we do. And Mark, you expressed some of them there, from events to radio to television, database management, and 8 others. And usually what we like to find for year one is 3 funnels that we're going to work on and become masterful in. And again, it's all about the data and best practices.
With all that being said, and this is such a great segue, because my first question to you, Gaffney, is challenges advisors face when marketing or achieving their goals. I've experienced over the years that when you sit down, everybody wants to make more money and work with better people. And that's almost like a surface level.
Table stakes.
Yeah. And then when you get in the weeds of it, do they have a plan, process? There's some unbelievable advisors out there who can't for the life of them get in front of people at all. So they're not business owners, great advisors, not business owners, not marketers. So what are the challenges and how do we help?
Sure. So I think some of the biggest challenges, and it kind of relates to who we work best with. The first thing is, for us, you need to be coachable. You need to understand that, okay, Mark, I'm going to take your scenario right now. I'm a tremendous advisor. Okay. If somebody comes in to see me, I can 100% make their lives better. I can put them on the path to their retirement goals and dreams with their family, maybe for generations, right? I can put that plan together. However, why am I not getting in front of people? So I would tell you that maybe it's time to bring on a coach of some sort. And what is a coach? A coach is someone to help you expedite your goal. And I always like to say that I know Mr. Financial Advisor, I'll call him Fred. Fred's going to jump in the pool. He's going to swim to the other end. When you bring on a coach, it's like bringing a speedboat to that swim meet.
I like that.
We're going to expedite your success. We're going to get you around the potholes. We're going to help you avoid the pitfalls and the obstacles that are going to come. And at the end of the day, that's going to save you a lot of money and get you in front of people. So the number one thing is, are you willing to listen and be coachable from people that have already been successful? And that could be other advisors, Mark, not just a coaching company. That could be you and your wonderful IMO. Okay, you know how to help advisors grow their practice. So number one is you have to be coachable. Mm-hmm. Number two is you have to understand that marketing is an investment and not an expenditure. Okay, so I try to get this mindset into advisors. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, if I look at my marketing as an expenditure, I'm going to line item everything. This is this much, that much, this much, this much. And I'm going to look at it and say, well, I can take that out. I can take this out. I can take that out. You're moving towards abject failure right now. Grab the recipe. Okay. Success leaves clues. Don't augment it. You're not better than that. Success leaves clues. Do it the right way. Find best practices and do it the right way. And now you're going to have this outcome that you want, and you're going to get your return on investment, which, by the way, should be a minimum $3 to every dollar invested. We prefer to see you around $5. And I have certain clients that are $6, $7, okay, for every dollar invested in their marketing. Now, that is a process that does not happen overnight. Trust the process. So I would say those are probably two of the biggest hurdles that advisors face. And I'm going to tell you another one. Ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You got to hustle and grind, baby. Got to hustle and grind. There's just a lot of advisors that, okay, one of the beautiful things about our industry is that we make a lot of money per new client, right? One of the big hindrances of moving forward is that we make a lot of money per new client. You know, a lot of advisors don't work very hard, but make a wonderful living. And if that's what you want to do, I say, great, that's wonderful. But if you're truly in growth mode, if you truly want to do something special, if you want to change the complexion of your firm forever, then you must surround yourself with people that can help you get there. And that's going to be new ideas and putting new things in place.
Sure. Those were 3 great nuggets. And I want to pull one of them out, which is process. You hit on that hard. And I know in working with you, one, you have a very strategic process in how you go and help people. And you don't get off of that process. It's like, Mark, nope, we're going to do these meetings this way. This is what's going to make us most effective. So I wanted you to spend a few minutes here in talking about a process. And what I know within your process, you sit down with somebody and say, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And then everything's driven back to that, down to, hey, you want to go write 25 million of annuity business this year? That's great. Here's what happens on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Here's how we're going to achieve that. Here's what it's going to cost to get those goals. So be prepared, right? But talk about the importance of the process and what that really does for somebody's business.
It's everything. Process is everything. Systems are everything. Scalable, repeatable, predictable marketing systems. Let me say that again, because if you're listening right now, okay, grab your pad and pen. And if there's something you're going to take away, I must understand scalable, repeatable, predictable marketing systems. Jeff Bezos says goals are for losers, systems are for winners. And who does it better than Amazon, right? So what we try to help advisors do is create systems for their marketing. It is a highway with guardrails. Do not veer from the path, okay? And like you said earlier, Mark, we are going to help the advisor dig the foxhole, the trench. And for lack of a better term here, we're going to hold their hand, okay? Because I think a lot of times, and whether it's at the FMO, IMO level, BD level, coach level, a lot of times they just, here's what you need to do. And they're out, they're gone. And it's like, well, I need more than that. How am I going to develop this system on my own? So, and I know, Mark, you're very good at this as well. In fact, I have never seen anyone who's willing to get on a plane as much as you are, fly all around this beautiful, wonderful country we have here and help advisors, right in their backyard, get off the ground. I don't know anyone who's doing it better than you to help these advisors develop that system, but that's what it's all about. And we map it, diagram it, program management, grid it. Okay. And by the way, if you're looking for great project management software, we use Trello.com. And I'm a big believer that organization directly translates into revenue. You must have what we refer to as project management grids for all of your marketing. Highway guardrails, period, baby. Highway guardrails. And we will help you from step one, okay, inception, all the way to result and innovation.
I'm really digging what you're saying right now, Mark, because as a small business owner myself, and I know probably like many of the advisors that are listening to our podcast today, when I first started my business, had a very hard time letting go, had a very hard time not doing everything myself and putting systems in place and bringing on people that help me in my business. So I can understand what you said a moment ago about coachability and having these systems that are so important, because at some point you've got to let go of gut. And like you said, go to the system. So what are 3 main marketing systems you would say that work?
Well, it's interesting that you bring up the number 3, John, because over COVID, first, let me say we had a few extra hours on our hands. So we did an analysis of our clients that do 50 million of total assets gathered in a calendar year or more. And I'm very proud to say that we've worked with a ton of them. And as an independent marketing firm, in other words, we're not owned by an FMO. We are truly an independent marketing firm. I'm not sure that there's an independent that's worked with more 50 million, 100 million total assets gathered calendar year advisors than we have. So here's my point. At the $50 million, 50 to 100 million, the ubiquitous metric that popped out for us was the number 3 funnels. Okay. I'm masterful in 3. So 80% of the production that took place in these firms between 50 and 100 million were from 3 marketing funnels. And all of them had events. I'll say seminars, but I prefer to call them events because there's so many different types of events, that whole concept of one-to-many that you can do. So events was number 1. Okay. And then referrals or some sort of database management around getting existing client dollars, okay, or utilizing or leveraging the relationships that we have in our database to bring up extra dollars through formal referral strategy, through dollars that pop up between reviews, annual reviews, nurturing prospects, lead management. So those are the 2 biggies for us. Live events, and I'll throw virtual events in their webinars as well, but predominantly live. Database management, those 5 areas I just talked about. And then the third one is usually something to do with media, radio or television. So if we can become masterful in those 3 areas, and by the way, this is a bigger advisor. This is not a sub $20 million advisor. This is a bigger advisor. 3, the magic number. And a lot of those 50 to 100 million, 90% of their production came from 3 funnels. So for us, the whole object here is to become masterful in 3 marketing areas, right? So seminars, events in some way, shape, or form, database management mastery. And by the way, database management is the lowest investment, highest return. You get a 10x dollar out of that, okay? And then lastly, it's usually media, radio and or television. So that's where we like to, and everyone has something different, by the way, 1,000 ways to skin a cat. So we like to analyze what they're doing. But John, again, you said that number 3, which was, I thought was kind of interesting, but that's where we really try to focus. And in 1 year, doing more than with a client, because usually we spend a year, our average client sticks around for about 3 years. But really, what are we going to focus on in that first year? It is 3 funnels. That's it. We're not going to herd cats and try to do 10 things. We're going to try to do 3 things and become masterful in it.
With that, I talk to advisors. I think last time I counted, I think I've had 30,000 interviews between investors and financial advisors, right? So I may have heard every objection known to man, but I sit down with guys, right? And they ask, what do I do? And I start to explain on how we look at the world and who what I call their QCC client is, qualified, committed, coachable client, and how all of my marketing relates back to who their best person is. And that's everything that we do. So if you're a high fastball hitter, using the old Moneyball analogy, we want to throw you high fastballs because that's what you hit every single time. And with that, we use all these different things. And I'll start to go down the path of live events. Oh, no, dinner doesn't work. Okay. Well, we do radio and TV. Oh, no, radio, TV, those things don't work in my area. So I'm sure you've gotten, just like me, every objection when it comes to marketing. What do you say to those people that they immediately push back and say, dinner seminars don't work? Radio doesn't work. And Jack, you're more than happy to jump in on this too, as you've got background and expertise around this stuff.
I'm just laughing because, we've talked about how well they do work in previous episodes, but I'll let Mark field this one. What do you do with the objections?
Yeah, if I want to lose weight, exercise doesn't work. And, eating more vegetables, that doesn't work, right? Eating fewer calories, that doesn't work. So sometimes the biggest bottleneck is the hubris of the advisor. They think that they're smarter than the rest of the world. And I will tell them point blank, you can argue whatever you want, but you can't argue against the data. The data is so abundantly clear. Here it is. Look at it. Number one way financial advisors create production and revenue nationwide is through live events, in particular dinner seminars. You personally are in some way, shape, or form adverse to the financial dinner seminar for some reason. Okay. And that's fine. Okay. But there are a myriad of other events that you can do. And you can't argue against the concept of a live situation where there's one person talking to many people with the objective of getting an appointment at the end of the night. It is the first appointment. There is no greater way to build a pipeline of qualified prospects than to be in front of them and tell your story. Okay. The power of story will convert prospects into clients. But that opportunity to get in front of them, tell your story, talk about your firm, and bring them to an appointment, ain't nothing better than that. So again, you can't argue against the data. And Mark, that client for me is someone that we're going to be like, thank you very much for your time. If you're not going to be coachable, I'm not going to bang my head up against the wall because you're going to say no to everything that we propose. And again, it's not about my opinion. My opinion doesn't mean anything. I don't care about opinions. Data-driven best practices. The data points to this. This is what the data tells us to do. Great marketers base their decisions on great data. That's my mantra, guys. That's my mantra. You can argue it till you're blue in the face.
I'm going to jump in on something you said a moment ago, Mark. Coming from my background in radio, if you think about where you grew up, your favorite morning show host, you feel like you knew them because you heard them every morning on the bus on the way to school or in the car on the way to work, whatever it was. People tend to want to connect with people. And as you said, the data doesn't lie. You've got the data. You've got reams and reams of paper you could show us all day long. But from a, not a quantitative, but a qualitative perspective, when you connect with a person, particularly as you said, in person at a dinner seminar, and they hear your backstory and they understand the why and how that makes you tick, it's a heck of a lot more personable than Googling financial advisors near me or whatever that is. That personal connection, I think, is so important. And I wanted to put a finer point on that.
I couldn't have said it any better, John. Couldn't have said it any better. It's creating the relationship bridge between two human beings. Think about this. I want to express to the advisors listening right now the total miracle that takes place every day in offices and financial advisors around the country. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
A couple comes in to see you. The average American will spend 90,000 hours, which is about 42 years, acquiring the nest egg that they have. Mm-hmm. And they give it all to you. They give the whole thing to you. How important do you think it is? The whole likability piece, the whole human piece. I am a financial advisor. Give me your money. That's not going to work. I have to show that I'm human. I have to create rapport and establish trust. And there is no better way to do that than in person.
You got all excited when I allowed Lewis Black on us there for a second.
I love it. My feet hit the ground in the morning. I'm like, it's time to rock, baby. It's time to rock. Side note for a minute, because I'm really good at going off on tangents. Part of my job with advisors is getting them out of their stinking bubble they live in. It's the day to day, right? I've got the rent and the employees and I've got to get the marketing going. And I've got this and I got to pay this bill and I got to do that and I got to see this one. And you get into this very calculated rigmarole and it doesn't allow for free thinking. So my job is to bust that bubble, baby. Let's look at other stuff. Let's brainstorm, spitball, think tank, and then let's light the fire. And if I could light the fire with an advisor, we're off to the races.
I go back to my business in working in podcasting. It's very easy for me to sit there and take Mark's podcast and edit out all his ums and uhs and spend all day doing that. No offense, Mark, of course.
Sure. I'm sure it's a long time.
but it's very easy for me to work in the business and not on the business. And I'm sure it's the same for our advisors. At the podcast movement convention that I was at in Dallas last week, I was talking to a colleague who also came from radio. A consultant said a program director who runs a radio station should spend 50% of his time thinking. Now, that's a pretty high bar, and that may not be achievable in reality for a lot of folks, especially to start. But if you can put these systems in place that you're talking about, Mark, and you can assign and delegate and have these things and have partners like you to set this stuff up, you can spend more time thinking about, okay, what can I do to grow my business, as opposed to all the things that you just mentioned.
John, that's perfect. That's exactly what this is about. If you get too wrapped up in working in the business, you ain't ever going to grow.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have to work on the business. And I'm going to use your example earlier, John, where you were expressing the fact that it was very important to you as the owner of your business to have your thumbprint on everything and be involved in every decision. And that is a recipe for disaster. Okay.
Yeah.
You will become the bottleneck. I've done it. I've been there. Okay. And I actually got a coach. Yes, I got a coach to help me scale. Okay. Because I believe in coaching. There are people out there that are smarter than me in a particular area, and I'm going to listen to them and I'm going to put into practice what they tell me to do. And the big thing was get out. By the way, there's a little thunder going on here, so if you hear that in the background, but get out of your own way. Trust and empower your employees. Train them, trust them, and empower them. Yes, they're going to make some mistakes. Yes, those mistakes are going to cost you a shekel or two. But once they're trained and they're up to speed, you can step out, they take that, and now I can do that think time, John. I can that spitballing, that think tank. I can grow my business. I can get the ideas that will innovate. But if I'm trapped all day long, working in it and not on it, I ain't ever going to grow.
So it's interesting you say that, Mark. And that's a good point, John, because I can't tell you how many advisors I sit down with, right? And I talk to them about their experience. Where do you learn new systems, best practices? Who's bringing you sales ideas? And there's some advisors out there that are hooked on going to their current IMO's big, massive recruiting event. And they say, oh, well, I love going to the events because I can see a peer up on stage and they're going to tell me their best practices. And I take that and that's just amazing to me. And so funny, Mark, when I ask them, oh, so then do you implement those things? Well, we're kind of working on it, right? Yes, we love going to events. We love being around our peers. We love hearing what the best practices are. And so again, to our listeners, one of the things that you immediately pick up by working with me is it's not just me. The fact is that I've spent the lion's share of my career being around some of the biggest advisors across the country. And there are a lot of big advisors. Not one IMO has all of the best, biggest advisors. There's lots of advisors out there. And by partnering with MEG, the other value is you're getting that coach, you're getting all the things that you want at that live event, and you're getting it on a daily task, implementation, coach handholding, and all the ideas. I mean, between the Mark and Mark show, you're literally not going to not know an idea that's out there that's working or step process to make you more efficient at your time. I've taken the business and I think through what an IMO is. An IMO at the end of the day is somebody that holds the insurance contracts. We're a necessary person in the food chain for these advisors to get access to contracts. And there's some IMOs that literally that's all they live with. But I look at the fact that every advisor really needs three things, right? They need someone to see, something to say when they get there to help them write the business. And at the end of the day, they need a back office that's going to help them get us paid as quickly as possible, period. And I've taken really serious that number one and number two, that if I can really help you more fully develop your practice, help you duplicate your A clients, your QCC clients, qualified, committed, coachable, then not only is that going to make you more efficient, you're going to write the business, you're going to work with people that you truly like, care about, and know you can help. And you have a partner. You have a partner in the business that's just helping you all the way through, being the cheerleader when you make a successful thing happen, and being the shoulder to cry on to say, okay, let's relook at this. So I'm so excited, Mark, that you've teamed up, joined the efforts into helping producers prospect, helping us grow and more fully develop our practice, and helping advisors in the country just get better. The end result is if we help advisors get better, that means that they're helping their clients better. We're helping Americans achieve their goals and success that they want to. And that's what I'm all about, right? So, Mark, if somebody sits down with you as we're starting to wrap up the show, give me a process and next steps, and how does somebody get started working with you?
Yeah, the process is really simple. And Mark, I just want to piggyback on what you said there. you have to figure out your admin, your operations, your marketing, and your sales, right? They are not mutually exclusive. They're all tied together to run your company. And you do have to be a business owner at the end of the day. So I'll take a little sales piece with you right now to talk about our process here. And the little piece of sales that I will give out is that if you explain your process, your sales process, and I'll call it a sales process, but let's say it's your retirement planning process. Okay, for us, it's bringing out a new marketing client process to your prospect. The likelihood of them coming on board goes up exponentially because they understand the process. They know what's going to happen every time. If you leave it wide open and you keep them guessing, bad. So here's how ours works. It's very simple. It's 4 steps. Step 1 is a 15-minute intro call. I just want to see if we're on the same page. Why waste a lot of time here? 15 minutes. I hope I'm right for you. I hope you're right for us. I'm going to ask your permission to set up a 1-hour call from there, a discovery call. We're going to send out to you our marketing checklist. It is a 8-page form. It literally is just boxes. You just check boxes 1 to 5. I want to do this. I don't want to do that. So then we do our discovery call. Then I'm going to say, okay, let's talk about in call 3, what it looks like to work together for a year, our presentation call. Okay. And then call number 4 is our confirmation call, or what we refer to in the office as the hell yes, hell no call. Are you in or are you out? Okay. And that's it. That's our process. And what we find for the most part is that we know very quickly if we're right for each other. And we're very good about customizing a marketing plan, okay, for each advisor, because everyone has different goals. Everyone has different strong suits. And it isn't like, well, here's the A template, the B template, and the C template. We don't work that way. We go custom, okay? And that's why we're higher end. You know, a lot of places, they just don't have the experience to give someone a custom plan, okay? Mm-hmm. So that is, in essence, our plan. It starts with a 15-minute call. And Mark, we've done a lot of those, man. This has been really exciting, this time working together with you. We've met you've introduced me, our company, MEG, to some really great advisors. So yeah, that's our process.
Well, we're excited to, again, more fully develop the practices that are out there. Where would you start? Well, you want to call me. I'm at 800-829-5526, 800-829-5526. And we're happy to sit down and organize a call with Mark, get the Mark and Mark show together and get that process, help you achieve those goals. Now's a great time to run through the 4th quarter and also start making those plans for next year. And we want to be part of that plan. And we want to support you. We want to help you grow your business. So with that, thank you, Mark. We'll definitely have you back and explore some different sections of how you can help somebody. Jag, as always, you are the man. Thank you for organizing this and helping us. We're looking forward to helping people out there. Talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Have a great one.
I will say this, all of Mark's contact information will be in our show notes. If you're driving and can't write it down right now, you can go back and refer to it later. And you may hear the thunderstorms in Florida behind Mark Gaffney, those afternoon thunderstorms. If you sign up with these guys and have them help your business, brighter skies will be ahead. We'll talk again soon, guys.
Thank you.